hosted by Pete De La Torre, President and CEO of the Renatus Group. The Pete De La Torre Business Program will discuss economic development and business opportunities for South Florida. The Pete De La Torre Business Program is brought to you by Community Newspapers, Great Florida Bank, Titan America, and Professional Negotiators, Inc.
Welcome, good morning, everyone. It's Pete De La Torre, and welcome to the Pete De La Torre Business Program for Wednesday morning, September 19th, 2012. So glad you can join us today. The phone number here, if you have any questions for our guest, is 305-541-2350. We definitely want to hear from you, and we have a great show in store for you. As we do this every week, the show is divided up into two segments. The first hour, 10 to 11 a.m., is the Entrepreneur Hour, where we focus on small business success stories and the multiple resources available for today's entrepreneur. And we have two guests today that are going to talk that up. You'll see what I'm talking about in a couple of minutes. The second hour, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., is the Power Hour. During that segment, we focus on the economic engines of South Florida, featuring the large institutions, both private and public, the initiatives, and the movers and the shakers of our community. And again, we're very happy to be here today. And let me share with you who the guests are in hour number one. I have sitting to my left here in studio, Dr. Michael Bienenno. He is a PhD PE, Professor of Practice in Concrete Pavement Sustainability in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at FIU. Our second guest, representing, of course, our Great Florida Bank segment every week, is VP and Director of Marketing, Doctor of Marketing, Barbara Murcell from Great Florida Bank. And a special guest who's actually been in the background in studio for the last handful of weeks. And we finally talked him into getting to be a guest and getting on the mic here. And that's, of course, Brad Simon. He's with Pantene, Beber Silverstein, PR Division, and he will be talking up a lot regarding PR, branding, some networking, all of the above. And he's supposedly a social media expert as well. So a lot of good information, so don't miss out there. And finally, I'm going to share with you two personal development tips for this week. Not one, but two. And the first one is focused on setting up your fourth quarter of this year and making sure that you hit your goals. And secondly, I want to share with you some information on a book that I have, which is phenomenal. And I read a lot of good stuff, but this one I picked up about 2 years ago, and it's a book called Secrets of the World Class, Turning Mediocrity into Greatness. So I will share the first chapter of that book towards the end of the first hour. However, don't change that dial at the end of the first hour, because in hour number two, the Power Hour, we have the following guest. Juan Del Busto, Branch Manager, Federal Reserve, Atlanta branch here in Miami, actually in the city of Doral. Great friend of mine and a terrific resource for all of us. The second guest is Alex Vilak, Miami Herald Senior VP for Advertising and Marketing for Miami Herald Media Company. And our third guest, long-distance phone call. This is from St. Petersburg, Florida, and part of our weekly LAAIA segment. We have Dolores Glass, Communications Manager for Fidelity Right Flood. That's WRIGHT. And then at the end of the show, I will be announcing what we have in store for you in the next handful of weeks. So as you can tell, a great 2 hours. And we're going to start it off here today with Dr. Michael Bienenno from FIU. Michael, welcome to the show, as he's putting down some water right now to clear his voice. How are you, Michael?
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And, of course, you are with us here this morning through our great friends, Titan America, another partner of the radio show, and Mike Zito and the whole gang there. So we appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy and have a lot that you're working on here. But, again, just to set it up for all of you that are listening this morning, Michael is a professor of practice in concrete pavement sustainability of Florida International University. a very, very fascinating topic. We've been talking about this in the last couple of months regarding concrete and everything that goes within. There's so much information to share about it. It's, I came across it maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago for the first time, and you think concrete is concrete, but it isn't just concrete. There's so much behind that, and we're bringing in the experts here that are going to help clear that up for us. But before we move on, Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, the first thing I'll do, being a professor, is I'll give you a quick French lesson. The name is Bienvenue.
Bienvenue, okay.
So, bienvenue.
I'm going to share with everybody this morning what happened to me today. I had an issue with my contact lenses, and I put the wrong one on, so I can see clearly 10 miles there, but when it comes to reading here, I even mess up my last name. So
No problem. No problem. They just call me Professor B, so I guess a lot of people have trouble with the name. Well, I am a full-time faculty member at Florida International University, and I received my PhD in highway construction materials from North Carolina State University. More recently, my history is I was with the Florida Department of Transportation as the district materials engineers for Districts 4 and 6, which covers from Delray Beach to Key West. Vero Beach to Key West. And then most recently, I was promoted to Director of Operations in District 4 for Florida Department of Transportation in Fort Lauderdale. And this position became available with Florida International University. I had been adjunct faculty there. I taught pavement design and geotechnical engineering there. And so they asked me if I'd be interested in looking at the position, so I did apply for it, and I was interviewed, and I was fortunate enough to get the position.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
Now,
you.
how long have you been there?
I started in the spring of 2012, so it's only been a little over half a year.
Now, your particular area, your department, is it a large department? Is it a new department at the university?
Well, civil engineering is a
Right.
civil and environmental engineering, or sort of a mainstay of all engineering programs. But my particular position is a new position that was opened up effective January of last year. And so the professor of practice in concrete pavement sustainability is actually a new position. I didn't replace anyone. It's just kind of stepped in and with a blank slate.
You have now all the opportunity in the world to create and set the bar.
I need to set the bar, exactly.
And we're living in a world where sustainability is more important than ever, and the awareness is growing every day, and going green and all that comes with that. So this is an important part of all of that there. Now, what in essence is concrete pavement sustainability?
Well, of course, sustainability refers to the long-term economic, environmental, and social impacts of building pavements. So we are becoming more and more sensitive to the long-term impacts of our infrastructure. And whereas in the past, the Department of Transportation's, all Department of Transportation's, basically looked at what were the upfront costs of a pavement, building pavements. And but now we have to be more conscious of the impacts that we're having on future generations and what we're actually leaving behind for our children and grandchildren.
Well, now, you are a professor. Tell us some of the courses that you teach, and get into some of the details there.
Well, I teach construction project management, pavement management systems, pavement maintenance and rehabilitation. I teach the senior design class for seniors who are graduating, give them a design project, and they work in teams. And of course, I make them build bridges because my background is transportation.
Well, glad to hear somebody's doing that, right?
And they're very fun to work with, the seniors, because they're excited about going out to the real world, and they really want to be there, so it's fun. I also teach during the summer semesters. I teach engineering ethics and the law related to engineering. So those are the classes that I teach at FIU.
Now, getting back to, we had small talk before the start of the show regarding the intricacies of concrete versus asphalt, and give us a little bit more from your perspective on I guess the pluses and the minuses of both?
Okay. Well, concrete and asphalt are two completely different animals. People look at a pavement and assume that concrete and asphalt pavements behave basically the same, but the design and the behavior of these pavements are completely different. From a concrete perspective, typically, what a lot of what's going on around the country is that we're still building concrete pavements or designing concrete pavements pretty much the way they were designed when the Eisenhower Interstate Program began back in the 1950s. We haven't had a lot of progress other than improvements in materials and some construction practices. But we still tend to build pavements in that 14-foot sections where you have the joint ka-thunk, 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 ka-thunk as you go along it over time. But now in concrete, we're able to build continuously reinforced pavements without that joint. We found better ways to transfer loads between pavements so that you don't have that ka-thunk between pavements. So traditionally, concrete was considered to have a poor ride as compared to asphalt, because asphalt didn't have the joints, the asphalt pavements. But now we've overcome a lot of those problems. But it's a matter of selling to the public the fact that we can build concrete pavements that are smooth ride and are safe.
How were they able to overcome that?
Well, just through improvements in concrete itself. Some states are beginning. Florida has a pilot project where they use a continuously reinforced pavement as opposed to a jointed plain concrete pavement. And continuously reinforced is where you just put steel reinforcement in the pavement and you just continue to pour the concrete without joints. You have construction joints, but those construction joints are basically invisible.
Now, we were also chatting before the show that 90% of the roads in the state of Florida are asphalt.
Yeah, in the state highway system, 97% of the roads are asphalt and only 3% are concrete.
Do you feel down the road that could start shifting? Is it up to people like yourself, engineers and the real smart people behind all of this, to continually improve that? Or is it more of a stigma problem out there regarding asphalt?
Well, it's not so much.
Or it's, I'm sorry, wrong choice of words. Just familiarity with pavement.
Well, of course, there is an absence of understanding about concrete as a pavement in general. But there's not really a stigma or a bias. It's just the fact that when pavement construction is put out to bid by the Department of Transportation, they look at the upfront cost. What is it going to cost us to build this pavement?
Right.
And traditionally have not been looking at the life cycle costs of a pavement. Concrete pavements tend to last about twice as long as an asphalt pavement. So we're contributing to the economic sustainability there by building a concrete pavement. And there are a lot of other things that go along with that. But as we go on, and with pushes from the Federal Highway Administration as well, we're beginning to look at life cycle costs and sustainability and the long-term impacts. And I think you'll find when you do an analysis that a concrete pavement over the life of the pavement, from cradle to grave, as you may refer to it, concrete pavements are much more economical to build and maintain.
It's true. It's like the new lighting systems, the bulbs. Years ago you buy a bulb and it's very inexpensive, but you'd have to replace them ongoing. The new bulbs are obviously a little bit more expensive, but they economically make more sense because they last much longer. So we're talking, I guess, a similar situation here.
Well, I think the general public, the taxpayers, want to be sure that their money is being spent wisely. And sometimes it's maybe difficult to explain why someone who comes in and maybe bids 20% higher on a concrete pavement, and you're looking at the life cycle cost and say, well, we could have built that for 20%, 80% of what this cost us, and just put in an asphalt pavement. And if you think about it, we could build 5 pavements or 6 pavements as opposed to 4 or 5 out of concrete. So we're getting more mileage of pavement. But we're being forced at this time with having built so many pavements and just the explosion in congestion. We have to really look at the environmental impacts and the long-term social impacts of a pavement, in addition to the economical impact.
Well, economical is pretty easy, and the main ingredient of asphalt is oil. It's petroleum, and we know what the price of that is today.
Maybe we do, maybe we don't.
Maybe we don't. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I don't want to think of the what can happen, but that's a major issue there, and it's we're buying foreign oil. You know, whether it's Canada or Mexico, or Venezuela, wherever it's foreign oil. It's not from here. With concrete, just in our backyard, there are numerous concrete plants. So the fact that if that industry, if the concrete industry can grow, that will make an impact on our local economy. It'll produce more jobs and keep some money circulating here locally. So that's a benefit to us directly here,
Right.
South Florida and state of Florida.
Well, one of the research projects that I am leading, and it's in its infancy, is partnering with the business management department and trying to determine what the local and statewide economic benefits are of you putting concrete in pavements as opposed to asphalt for those very reasons, because we do produce the cement that goes into concrete locally right here in Miami. And when where these plants are actually employing local labor, using local investment, and so there is an impact that needs to be quantified. What is the benefit to the general economy of, say, Miami, when we build a concrete pavement as opposed to an asphalt pavement?
Absolutely. Now, of course, our partner Titan America, you guys have a great relationship. How is the university working with Titan America at this point?
Well, Titan America has donated to the Civil Engineering Department a very high-tech, large structures lab for us to do some high-tech research, particularly in the area of ultra-high-performing concrete, which the dean of the School of Engineering began research, and we have a partnership with Massachusetts Institute of Technology in developing ultra-high-performance concrete in structures. As a matter of fact, one of my research projects is taking ultra-high-performance concrete and trying to come up with a design and analysis methodology for pavement overlays. Can we actually build this and put on an overlay of 1 inch or 2 inches that would be comparable to an asphalt overlay and give a pavement that will last maybe 50 years without having to actually go out and do much maintenance or rehabilitation on it?
Well, that's a great partnership, and Titan America. I mean, obviously they're bullish on concrete. I mean, they do very well. They're doing a lot, I think, to help the local economy. And what we're trying to do also through this program is continually inform the listeners and communicate the right information about all this, and that there is an option. There is a viable option with concrete. Beyond what's obvious to us in Florida. Because I know I interviewed a gentleman who's head of the National Association back in about a month and a half ago, out of Iowa, but the old association based out of Washington. He told me some of the towns up there are the reverse. They're 90-something percent, 95% concrete. And obviously the weather, climate's a little bit different up there and all that, but still, they're doing it up there, and it's been very, very successful.
Southern states like Georgia are very aggressive in putting in concrete pavements as well. But just to go back to Titan America's lab, we couldn't do a lot of the innovative research that we're doing in terms of material research and design without the Titan America Structures Lab that they've contributed to the university.
Well, I think they're doing a great job. They're definitely a community oriented, and they're giving back in many, many different ways. So right. I'm really happy that we've made the connection here today. And any final comments for the benefits of the listeners? Well,
I think I want the public to know that to be looking for concrete pavements, we will be our research results will become public, and hopefully, and I'm sure the Florida Department of Transportation is going to be open to new technologies and new materials. So I think you should be looking for, in the very near future and long term, more concrete pavements and fewer construction zones, fewer maintenance zones where you're being diverted from 1 lane or 2 lanes or 3 lanes into 1 lane, and all the congestion problems that you have. Hopefully we'll be able to alleviate a lot of those and make your lives a lot better.
What is the best way for the listeners to get a hold of you if they have any questions?
Oh, they can call me at Florida International University. My phone number is area code 305-348-0256, and my email is B as in boy, IENVEN at FIU.edu.
Dr. Bienveno, thank you so much for being on the show here today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you for coming out here. I know it's a break in your day, but we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll come back anytime. Lots to talk about.
Love to have you come back here. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we will bring on our Great Florida Bank segment.
We'll be right back on the Pete De La Torre Business Program Entrepreneurial Hour. Brought to you by Community Newspapers, Great Florida Bank, Titan America, and Professional Negotiators, Inc.
Hi, I'm Pete De La Torre, host of the Renatus Business Hour show. Do you hate your bank? Don't care? Are you tired of never being able to contact your banker and getting charged a fee for almost everything you do? Always being in the back of the line? If so, you might want to listen to what I have to say about my bank, Great Florida Bank. Here I get personalized, concierge-style service. And now is a great time to sign up for Great Florida Bank's Merchant Services Mobile Credit Card Processing Solution. Their team will take a look at your processing needs, and if a mobile solution works for you, they'll give you a mobile card reader for free. If Great Florida Bank can't meet or beat your current processing rates, you'll receive $500. And I'm going to share one of Great Florida Bank's best-kept secrets. They never charge customers to use ATMs nationwide. Plus, if another bank charges you an ATM fee, they reimburse that ATM fee anywhere in the U.S. At Great Florida Bank, they take pride in offering personalized customer service and even give their customers their cell number. If you want a banking experience like mine, the Great Florida Bank Standard of Banking, call my personal banker, Obdulio Piedra, Great Florida Bank's Miami-Dade Market President. Call his cell, 305-514-6450, and tell Obdulio I sent you.
Forever Smile Dentistry is dedicated to serve patients in our community. Their state-of-the-art technology allows them to offer you and your family the highest level of care you're looking for. They will give you a warm welcome and ongoing commitment to your dental health and beauty. Dr. Amaral and her experienced team are committed to excellence by providing you with the highest quality and ethical treatment modern dentistry has to offer. They work with their patients so they can achieve and maintain a beautiful smile and healthier gums and teeth. They take the time with their patients to explain their treatment options and inform them of additional preventative care. They feel this will lead to a more trusting doctor-patient relationship and, for many people, relieve the stress about seeing a dentist. Have you ever dreamed of that perfect smile? Well, here is where your dreams come true. Visit their website, www.foreversmiledentistry.com. To make an appointment, call 305-274-0425. Welcome back to the Pete De La Torre Business Program Entrepreneurial Hour, sponsored by Community Newspapers, Great Florida Bank, Titan America, and Professional Negotiators, Inc.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Pete De La Torre Business Program. Again, the phone number here is 305-541-2350. I want to thank Dr. Bienveno for being here this morning from FIU, talking about concrete sustainability. It is a topic that I believe is going to gain momentum for the obvious reasons, economic impact and cost, and so stay tuned, because this is an area that needs to be looked at very, very closely, and I think at the end of the day it's going to prove to be the best thing for all of us. Now it is my pleasure to bring on to the show what we do every week with our Great Florida Bank segment here, with all of the wonderful guests and reps from the bank and all the wonderful customers. Today we have a young guy who, like I said, has been here a few times at the station and is just full of energy, and he's a marketing guy, a PR guy, a social media guy. Of course, his name is Brad Simon, who manages the bank's public relations. and he is with a very dynamic organization called Panton Bieber Silverstein. And he is with the PR division of the group. Say hello, Brad.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for finally bringing me to a microphone, Pete.
Yeah, we finally said you deserve to be on the mic.
I've earned it.
You know, I know you were in the background waving, please me.
Yeah,
me.
making funny faces and all that, and I finally earned a spot here at the table.
Well, terrific there. And, of course, let me also introduce to everybody the Doctor of Marketing, VP and Director of Marketing for Great Florida Bank, Barbara Murcell. How are you, Barbara?
Good morning, Pete. Great to be here again. And I'm glad that we have Brad on the radio so we can talk about our public relations.
Public relations, and listen closely because they do a phenomenal job at the bank with public relations. And all of you that are listening, and especially you small business owners, it is critical that you are marketing your business, that you are branding your business, that you're doing PR for your business. And we're going to share some tips today that I think are going to be very, very handy for you. Now, Brad, let me ask you the first question. Again, you are helping the bank, Great Florida Bank, in their PR division. How's it been working with Great Florida Bank?
You know, when I first started at the agency, I worked on Great Florida Bank, took a brief break, but I'm happy to be back. One thing that I always like, and our vice president, Christine, loves about working with the bank is that they always are not afraid to bring something new to the table and not afraid to do something off the wall. And, you know, with a lot of other, banks that I hear other agencies working on, they're sort of pigeonholed in this stiff kind of white-collar approach to marketing. And Great Florida Bank is not afraid to do something different and break the mold and really get their name out there, which I think they've done a very good job of, and we're proud to be a part of that.
Now, you are working with one of the true marketing gurus in South Florida, Miami-Dade County, Leslie Bantine. And how's it been working with him?
It's been great. And, I owe Leslie pretty much my entire career. I came to him as a washed-out TV journalist. I'm from Miami. I wanted to be back here and knew that it would be many, many years if I was in the television industry to get back here to home base here in Miami. And he took a chance on me as an unpaid intern. And he says it's because I make really good Cuban coffee, but I like to think it's
well, you gotta start somewhere, right?
Aquí se cuela café cubano. I learned the ropes from him, and made my way from the kitchen, from making coffee to, after a month, getting on, working as a young account coordinator. And then, almost 4 years later, here I am as the senior account executive, the last man standing besides Leslie in the division. And he taught me everything I know outside of media relations. That's what I sort of came to the agency with, was that experience as a news reporter to sort of know what it's like to be on the other end of the table. Leslie taught me everything I know about events. I hadn't thrown an event outside of poker night ever my entire life.
Well, we can talk about that on another occasion if you like your poker nights there.
I could do poker night.
Now, I'm sure you get these requests a lot, but what is the best way to get news stories written about you and your company?
I get this all the time, and this is part of what...
Especially for the entrepreneur and the small business owner.
Listen, it's not easy, and that's why you hire PR practitioners, but you have the, I guess, detriment of being in one of the major markets here in the United States. Although Miami is ranked by their designated marketing area number 15 or so in the country, they have the reputation and sort of the toughness of one of the top 5. And while you may think that your story, it deserves to be told, and call CNN, call get Wolf Blitzer on the case, fly in Anderson Cooper, let's get the Miami Herald in.
Mainstream media type thing?
Everyone, it probably isn't. And there's a good chance that someone else has done it before you. So what I try to counsel is you got to think like a reporter. Is pretend you're in a movie and you're the reporter. What do you need to tell the story? And I usually start with 2 basic things, which is you need a narrative wrapped around a person. You want to humanize the story. So what I like to find is sort of finding the arc. You need character development over the life of the story. Even if it's a 1-minute, 10-second voiceover package on the news, you need development. You need something that people can follow from start to finish and follow the narrative of one person. In the news, we call this diamond narrative, where you'll see this as a device all the time on TV. You'll start with a person, then you go wider to the issue that affects them, the resolution, and then it goes back to the person. What happened to, Joe the plumber? And that's why his name's still tossed around these days. And then for TV, obviously you need a visual. You need something to keep people's attention. And that's why you always find, and I use this all the time and explain to clients, puppy rescues always are at the top of the A block, because people love to see firemen rescuing puppies from a burning building. And the same reason why every time there's a convenience store robbery or McDonald's that gets robbed, they always have that, corner security camera footage because that's what people like to see. Mm-hmm. So if you can combine the great narrative with a good visual, you have a good shot at getting your story out there. And don't be afraid to make calls. PR practitioners obviously are more experienced in this, but you're allowed to call a news station too. They have their number out there for a reason.
Now, let's talk about a topic that is our world today. I mean, more than ever, and that's social media. Now, and here, most companies are I mean, they're just crazy clamoring to get on Facebook and Twitter, and it's great. Frankly, I personally, myself, Facebook, I get it. LinkedIn, I get it. Twitter, personally, I'm still trying to get it. I'm not there yet, and I know you can help me there to understand that, but what about social media? And tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that and what you guys are doing to help businesses with social media.
Well, I have sort of a very personal story with social media in that just based on the timing and how old I am, I was one of the first, I would conservatively estimate, 150,000 people on Facebook because, it
the
launched.
One that recognized your name in the movie.
Yeah, no, I was like, Eduardo, come on, give me a credit there. No, in all seriousness, Facebook started in the spring of 2004. I was accepted into college in the fall of 2004, and one of the first universities outside of, if you remember, Facebook started as sort of an Ivy League only thing. One of the first universities that they allowed was my alma mater, University of Florida. Mm-hmm. And when I first got onto Facebook,
so you're a Gator, huh?
Oh yeah, proud Gator, go Gator.
Right, you can still come back to the show here. That's not a problem.
You're not the first person to warn me about that. But Facebook started as very simple, kind of like what LinkedIn is, just picture, the details, just the facts. And, for me, it was a way to keep in touch with the cute girl from my Spanish class. And, 8 years later, it's developed into something that every business wants to have. And I always caution, make sure it's right for you. Is one thing I don't like are companies that don't belong on Facebook or have a really poor attempt at being on there. They just want to get their name out on Facebook. That's not worth it. Facebook and social media and Twitter should provide a utility to your marketing mix. It should provide a purpose, and it should provide a solution or address something with your followers.
Now, the things that I learned in the last handful of months, especially during the 1 year of the Renatus Group, the first year, I've gotten a lot more into social media and Facebook. I actually have 3 pages myself. I have my personal, I have Renatus Group, and now I have the radio show.
Good for you.
I got to leverage that now. That's the idea behind that.
How often do you update those pages?
Well, we're going to see a lot more updates now. I've got help. Help has arrived. Yeah. Help has arrived. But it's the one key thing I've learned is don't get involved so much about promoting yourself, self-promoting stuff. Offer tips, offer things that are of value to the person that's looking at it and reading it there, correct?
You hit the nail right on the head. And, you don't have to be one of those people that overload us with status updates. Mm-hmm. Is your followers, even if, you're Barack Obama, they don't want to have 10 Facebook posts per day because, they have their own news feed that generates things from their friends.
Some other things during the day.
Right.
So.
You have to do other things. And if you're on Facebook most of the day, you're probably not getting the job done wherever else you are. So I would say a good rule of thumb is 1 to 2 max per day.
Per day, okay.
And even with my friends, I find myself unsubscribing from you. Even if you're my best friend and I love you, it's seriously, man, you're clogging up my news feed.
Now, regarding that, I've heard different schools of thought. What is the best time of day to post, especially during the business week, Monday through Friday?
That's a good question. I would say early in the morning. I find that...
How early, though?
In between 9 and 10 is when I like to get updates out from my clients, only because you think about when you get into work, you're probably not in this target sweet spot demographic of like 25 to 35, but they're on Facebook. So one of the first things they do is they check their email, check their voicemails, and then maybe log onto Facebook, see what's going on in the morning, and then not check it till the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So I would also post at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, and if you have enough updates where you can get maybe 3 in there, that 2 p.m. right after lunch is another good one. You have to think of when people...
What about lunchtime when say a lot of people have a little bit of time and they may be eating in their offices? Is that not...
I would say lunchtime is tricky because there's no universal lunch hour, but by 2 p.m. if you haven't got...
Especially in Miami, it's usually 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Exactly, and we run late time here. I would say 2 p.m. is a good time to get one out, but as the day winds down and people start spacing out at work, that's usually when you get some Facebook logins in that 4 to 5 hours. So that's also not a bad time to.
So
set that update.
if you were to offer one key to success from your perspective to social media, what would that be?
Be useful.
Okay.
And then the follow-up is have a voice. I read a hilarious article, and it was in GQ, which is probably not the best source for social media advice, but the point in the example was so applicable that I find myself referring to this in meetings and with clients as 10 people that you don't want to be on Twitter, and they had a bunch of ones like your mom, you don't want to be your mom on Twitter, and one was you don't want to be the company that doesn't belong there and says inappropriate things. And the example they gave was Black & Decker wood varnish. Why do they have a Twitter feed? And why does their Twitter feed say, Happy Monday, hope everyone had a fabulous weekend, and TGIF or Follow Friday?
There's an angle to cut wood, or
that's what you would think you would follow a wood varnish company for, not to get cat photos and late sharing of news that you could have very easily followed a reputable news source like Associated Press on for Twitter. If you're going to be on Twitter, go for it. And same thing with Facebook. You should provide a voice that's appropriate for your followers.
Correct.
And two is be useful, is have something to say. If not, then don't do it.
I think that's great advice. Now let's get to the B2B. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Again, tell us a little bit about that. A little background on that.
Sure. Now, B2B's had a recent interest in getting involved in social media and marketing and public relations only because their B2C counterparts have already been a step ahead of them. And kind of like what I say to my B2C customers, and we have done some social media campaigns for B2B companies, is what do your customers come to you for? The I guess niche thing about B2B is that they always have some, once again, niche use for their services, whether it's providing IT solutions or customer relations or being the middleman in a supplier vendor chain. What would imagine you're starting up a Facebook page tomorrow, what would your customers want from you? And the one I think that's easiest use is Twitter for customer service. And part of the thing that makes Twitter so unique is that the culture of Twitter is so instantaneous. It's that you want to be first out and responding first because that's just sort of the rules of the game. That's the greens fees. And we find that, customer service organizations that set up Twitter feeds get great responses because their followers actually believe that, and probably for the most part, someone is on the other end answering these right away. And because it's Twiticket, which is Twitter etiquette, if you send out a tweet,
you learn something every day. Right?
If you send out a tweet saying, my computer is not working or I'm having a problem with the ZX-9 printer, and the ZX9 company responds to you right away, that's almost as good as a phone call because you've been on the phone with a customer service company. I've been trying to call Comcast to get my caller ID fixed, and I've called them at all hours of the day, all hours of the night. If I could have just as easily sent them a tweet and they responded back within a day, I would be a happy camper.
Well, some of them, or a lot of them, are 1-800-NO-HELP.
Right.
I mean, that's the bottom line. It's never mind. Can I talk to a manager or it's just a person, unfortunately, that's being paid an hourly wage and they can't they really can't help.
Yeah. And so if you have the appropriate customer service people that can help the customer, Twitter is a free FREE way to do that.
Free
it's interesting though that depending on the age of the person, and what they are interested in or what they've kept, like your 80-year-old aunt, she wants to, or your grandmother, they like to talk to somebody. They don't know tweet, schmeet,
No.
I think it's a rare
look at an iPad,
rare bird or something like that. You just
so you have different segments of people that still need to have this plethora of different things that you can utilize.
No, I agree, and there's
what's going to happen? I mean, it's like
it's tough to predict, but eventually the older dinosaurs are going to become extinct, and the people that are on Twitter now that are in the 25 to 35 are going to become the 35 to 45, and then the kids that are social media crazy, the young 14, the tweens and the 14 to 18-year-old kids that can't take their eyes off of a cell phone and can't stop texting, they're going to become people in the workforce too. So you better embrace it sooner than later.
Well, we've got a couple of minutes left here. And Barbara, I want to turn to you. Now, you've had Pantene Bieber Silverstein as your agency of record for a few years now. What makes them a good fit for your bank's public relations needs?
Well, how we've been working with Leslie Pantene since 2004, and we haven't had any other public relations firm during that time, and they're a good fit for us because, their philosophy is that they really, and everybody on their team, Brad, who I've enjoyed working with, and Christine, and of course, Leslie, everyone wants Great Florida Bank to succeed, and we do think out of the box. We enjoy that kind of, what can we do that's, if you don't have $1 million to spend on social media and public relations.
Not a lot of people do, Barbara.
A lot of people don't, but you have to really think, and challenge yourself of what can we do, in this industry for a financial institution to get information out and make it really interesting. And they've been a great partner with me to come up with these different ideas and initiatives, and they've worked.
Well, they are working. I mean, they're everywhere. And besides the fact that the bank is very community-oriented, very connected with the community, I think the bank is doing an incredible job, of course, with the partnership with Pantene to brand the bank and do things that are differently to get the message out there and represent what the bank is in a very straightforward, impactful message. I want to wrap up our session out here. I know that the firm, Pantene, is one of the bank's newest customers.
Yes,
correct?
Actually.
What are some of the programs that you believe and services that have attracted Pantene to open up an account, for instance, with Great Florida Bank?
Well, I think that we're always in their business and they're in our business, and we've known each other for so many years, and I just think that it just kind of happened, which we're very happy about. So now we have an even tighter bond with each other, and I just wanted to say that Brad he's a very young guy, but he's an excellent writer, and he's a great guy to work with, and I'm glad that he's our representative.
You're too kind, Barbara.
He's a good guy, and he's a natural.
But true.
This has been great. This has been terrific. I really appreciate it, and we're definitely going to bring Brad back.
If you don't mind, Pete, I have one last thing of advice I wanted to get to very quickly. For all you guys on LinkedIn, I tell my boss this all the time: is do not go stalking people, because LinkedIn tells you who views your profile. So be careful who you click.
Yeah, but exactly. And that you keep clicking that same person.
Yeah,
that's really.
It's not like Facebook where you can click anyone you want and they have no idea. LinkedIn gives you a full, comprehensive report. So be careful, guys.
Good deal, Brad. Thanks you, my friend.
No
Barbara,
problem.
muchas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
As always, there. We're going to go to a break, and we will be back with the closing of the first hour. Be right back.
We'll be right back on the Pete De La Torre Business Program Entrepreneurial Hour. Brought to you by Community Newspapers, Great Florida Bank, Titan America, and Professional Negotiators, Inc.
Hi, my name is Plinio Vargas, and I'm the president of Professional Negotiators Incorporated, where we specialize in credit restoration, debt repayment arbitration, personal money management, and purchasing. Come join me and my staff to go over how to establish 3 very important things: money in the bank, no debt, and clean credit. Feel free to give us a call at 305-493-1900. We're open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And yes, we have Saturday hours from 9 to 5. Again, give us a call at 305-493-1900. Let me and my staff make your home and car buying purchases, that dream, a reality.
Today, everyone wants to be environmentally responsible, but you can't recycle your way to sustainability. Real sustainability goes far beyond recycling and requires us to consider the 3 competing factors at work in our world: the economy, the environment, and society. By choosing concrete as your preferred building and paving material, you will achieve sustainable results in all three areas. Concrete's durability allows homes and structures built with concrete or concrete block to withstand Florida's severe weather and keep your family safe within your financial means. Concrete roads and parking lots are also very affordable, have much cooler surface temperatures, and last 3 to 5 times longer than asphalt, providing a much higher value for the money on public projects funded with your tax dollars. Lastly, concrete pavements allow shorter stopping distance in both wet and dry conditions and are reflective, providing safer conditions and better visibility at night for both pedestrians and motorists while using less energy at a lower overall cost. Choose concrete, the material for life. A message from Titan America, one of Florida's leading cement and concrete manufacturers. Visit them at titanamerica.com or call them at 954-481-2800.
Welcome back to the Pete De La Torre Business Program Entrepreneurial Hour, sponsored by Community Newspapers, Great Florida Bank, Titan America, and Professional Negotiators, Inc.
Welcome back to the Pete De La Torre Business Program Entrepreneur Hour. We're going to wrap up the first hour with a couple of personal development tips. But I want to thank again Barbara Marcel from Great Florida Bank and Brad Simon from Pantene Bieber Silverstein. I want to share with all of you now a very important piece. We are 2 weeks away from the fourth quarter of 2012. And I want to share with everyone here now 4 keys to a great fourth quarter. Please listen carefully. It's that time of year, my friends. It's fall. Okay, we're 2 weeks away. And the question I have for you here, what is your plan to finish 2012 strong? If you don't have an immediate answer, then I need for you to consider the 4 keys that I'm going to share with you here today to get organized, focused, and committed to having your best end of year yet. This is number 1. Be crystal clear on your personal income number and revenue goal. Quick. Exactly how much money are you going to earn by December 31st of this year? And exactly how much business are you going to close to earn that? If you can't answer that with absolute clarity, then this is goal number 1 for you. Knowing exactly how much you're going to earn acts like a magnet that attracts clients, opportunities, and business your way. Having the exact number also motivates you to take action and continue taking action throughout the quarter. Take some time today to identify these 2 numbers and then write them down on a card and keep them with you at all times. Post it on your desk or in your bathroom mirror or in your car, wherever that might be. But remember, what you focus on, you will create. Number 2, call on your best, biggest clients first. Your greatest asset as a closer is your current list of clients. Now, I didn't say all your clients, but rather your best and biggest clients. It's been said that 80% of your business comes from your top 20 clients. So who are they? And what is your strategy to help them buy more this quarter? Make a target list of these clients and begin calling them this week. Be on the lookout for not only more business, but referral business as well. Once again, identify what you expect to generate from your top clients and then add 10% to it. Remember, if you aren't getting their business, someone else is. Number 3, call your A leads next. Identify your most valuable leads next and make attempts to reach them by mid-October. These A leads should include deals you almost closed earlier this year. Leads or companies who told you to call them back this time of year. And those clients who regularly buy and who know you and will place orders with you. Prioritizing your leads in this way will make you sure that you will spend your time in early October focus on those leads that will give you the best return for your effort. What's the bottom line? Call these leads next. And finally, number 4, start visualizing how it feels now that you've accomplished your revenue goal. A great motivator I learned a few years ago, someone told me that what's important about your goal setting is to begin acting and feeling as if you've already accomplished your goal. They call this the B state, B-E. So project yourself to the holidays and ask yourself, what does it feel like now that you've accomplished your goal? What are the things you're enjoying now that you have? Start thinking about the company holiday party and what it feels like to receive your bonus or recognition. How about your family? What are they feeling now that you've made your goal? How confident, positive, and happy are you? These are the feelings you should identify now and begin affirming every night when you go to sleep and every morning, first thing when you wake up. Again, you become what you think about all day long. These are the 4 keys to having a great fourth quarter. I've already organized my business to be in alignment with them, and I can already feel how good it is to have accomplished them. It's a great state to be in, and I encourage you to get in alignment with these keys as well. My friends, have a great fourth quarter in 2012. And quickly, I want to share with you secrets of the world class, turning mediocrity into greatness. Now, this is very, very important. If you get out of bed this morning and went to work because you wanted to, you are in control of money. But if you get out of bed this morning because you had to, money is in control of you. Even in the wealthiest nation in the world, 99% of the population is being controlled by money. The effect is lack of money. The cause is thinking. Albert Einstein once said, "A problem cannot be solved at the level of consciousness in which it occurs." Knowing this, champions raise their level of consciousness by studying how the world class creates wealth. The middle class believes formal education is the answer to acquiring wealth, yet very few academics are wealthy. They seek advanced degrees and certifications and are confounded when these things don't bring the riches they're looking for. While the great ones are strong advocates of higher education, they don't believe it has much to do with acquiring money. The middle class trades time for money. The world class trades ideas that solves problems for money. I'm going to share more of this in the coming weeks. I think this is a great topic to look at. But at the bottom line here, it's all about your thinking and what you think about all day. If you're thinking success, production, goals, that is what you are going to see in your life. But if you're looking at the things that you don't have, the things that, gee, I'd like to get them, but I don't think I can, I'm not worthy, I don't have the skill sets, I'm just not lucky, you're going to continue to see that very thing in your life. So be careful what you think about and focus your thoughts on what you want, not what you don't want. I want to thank my guest for the first hour, Dr. Bienvenu from FIU, who talked about, again, concrete sustainability, Barbara Marcel from Great Florida Bank, and, of course, Brad Simon from Pantene Beaver Silverstein for some great information on social media, PR, and marketing. My friends, I want you to stay where you're at. Do not touch that dial because we're now getting ready for hour number 2 of the Pete Delatorre Business Program. We have Juan DeBusso from the Federal Reserve, Alex Velox from the Miami Herald, and Dolores Glass from Fidelity Right Flood. So stay there. We'll be right back after the station break here for the Power Hour of the Pete Delatorre Business Program.
Thank you for listening to the Pete Delatorre Business Program Entrepreneurial Hour. Brought to you by Community Newspapers, Great Florida Bank, Titan America, Professional Negotiators Incorporated, and stay tuned for the next hour of the Pete Delatorre Business Program. Welcome to the Pete Delatorre Business Program Power Hour, hosted by Pete Delatorre, President and CEO of the Renatus Group. The Pete Delatorre Business Program will discuss economic development and business opportunities for South Florida. The Pete Delatorre Business Program is brought to you by Community Newspapers, Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies, and Esserman International.
Welcome back, my friends, to the second hour of the Pete Della Torre Business Program. This is called the Power Hour. And let me tell you, the guests that we have here today are a perfect example of powers and movers and shakers in the community here, and I'm going to have a great time speaking with them today. The phone number here, if you have any questions for the guests, is 305-541-2350. And what we do here every week during this segment is we focus on the economic engines of South Florida, the initiatives, the projects, and this is important because these are the driving forces for economic development in our region, and it's important that we talk about these things and communicate the right information about what's going on, because sometimes you hear things that are not necessarily true, and we're here to set the facts straight and make sure that everybody is hearing the right information. And the guests here today, starting with a great friend of mine, Juan Del Busto from the Federal Reserve, and we'll talk a lot about all the wonderful changes that are coming to him very, very soon. And you should see him today if I had a camera. He's ready to rock and roll here. He's got that 1 foot out already, and he's on his way to a training regiment right now. And he even called me yesterday, asked me, "Hey, do you mind?" And I go, "Boy, I wish I could come dressed like that to the show here." But we'll talk with him in a second. We have Alex Vilak, who is with Miami Herald Media Group, VP of Marketing and Advertising, and she is involved in so many things. And we'll be talking about one of the things we'll be talking about is One Community, One Goal, which is a major initiative for all of us here in Miami-Dade County. And our third guest is Dolores Glass. It will be a long-distance interview from St. Petersburg. This is the segment for one of our partners, the Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies. She is with Fidelity Right Flood, and we will be talking about flood insurance and what's important to you personally and, of course, as a business. So without further ado, let me bring on to the show a great friend of mine. We did this once before when I had the Doral Business Council radio show, and I've been working with Juan for a while. We've done some really cool things together, and so glad you made it back, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Pete.
Thank you, and I'm here at a point now for you where you've got a big time in your life happening. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. The afterlife after the Federal Reserve. How are things in general with you? How are things coming along?
With me personally,
Yeah.
doing well. I have 3 months left. I'm retiring 12-12-12, as you know, but very busy. A lot of people ask me to do. Can we have you one last time? So I have a lot of speeches and a lot of community involvement events that I'm doing between now and the end of the year. And, of course, trying to find out what's really happening with the economy in South Florida and making sure we send that information to Washington.
We're going to get that in a moment. We're going to get to that. But for the benefit of the listeners that are trying to understand what the Federal Reserve does, especially the branch here in Miami, give us a little bit of information on that.
Okay, we're very historic at the Federal Reserve in Miami. Fed was created in 1913 by an act of Congress. By 1927, all head offices and branches were formed, with the exception of Miami. Tremendous growth in South Florida in the 50s and 60s. We became an RCPC, regional check processing site. We had the ninth largest volume of checks in the country, but the second highest dollar value per check, so we wanted to clear those checks. So in 1971, we became a regional check processing site. We became a full branch in 1975, first branch in 48 years and last. Since 1927, we're the central bank of the United States. Our main business now is gathering economic information, and that's critical to formulate monetary policy. We handle the 13 southernmost counties in the state of Florida, which happens to be the 32nd largest economy in the world. We meet with the top 50 GDP-producing companies, their CEOs. What's happening? Are you expanding? Are you retracting? Are you hiring more employees? And gathering that information, that grassroots information, is critical to formulating monetary policy.
Now, and you just alluded to it a minute ago, the economy. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, it's in the news, but more importantly, it's what we live every single day. And I know the Fed just made a move last week. just conceptually, what type of impact does the Federal Reserve have on the economy?
Well, we have a dual mandate. Very clear. Our dual mandate is low inflation and low unemployment. We have inflation pretty much controlled. We look at inflation. Our target is about 2%. Our inflation is around 2%, maybe a little bit lower.
Right.
Unemployment has been an issue for a while. So we continue to put monetary policy in place to have zero interest rate, 0 to a quarter for the last 3 years. And we continue, and we just made a bold announcement last week to continue buying $40 billion of securities every month until the unemployment rate goes down. We're doing that from the monetary policy side. However, we're apolitical, and I can't really talk much about the fiscal side of this, but it's got to work. Monetary policy and the fiscal policy need to work together in order for this to happen. We keep doing our part in Washington through monetary policy, but the other side, and this is not named at one political party, both parties need to come together and really make some hard choices on our fiscal side in order to get the economy moving. Now, GDP is growing at a very modest rate.
Like 1.5%?
1.5%.
Yeah.
We just looked at today. Third quarter's running about 1.7% today. Okay. But as reports come in, that changes. This afternoon, it might be running at 1.5. It's running very moderately, but it's running at a positive rate. So that's a good thing. But those excess growth that we used to have since World War II, the biggest the problem, or the biggest the recessions we'd have, the biggest the bounce back. This economy is different.
This one is a game changer. In my lifetime, I have never seen anything like this. And I just this average person here, I mean, my opinion is this is going to take a long time.
It's going to take a while on the unemployment. When I started speaking 4 years ago, and I used to talk, unemployment is going to be an issue for a long time. Yeah. People looked at me like I was from Mars. But two things that are really happening in this country, and this is why it's happening. Productivity. When you look at the industrialized nations, let's look at the series from 2008. Japan, Canada, U.S., Europe, and England. They all lost jobs, but we lost more jobs than any one of those industrialized economies. However, you look at the opposite end of that chart. You look at productivity. The U.S. is way above those other countries. So we're all doing a lot more with less people. We're all doing 2.5 jobs. Can we sustain that? Probably not. But are we all going to be doing 1.5 jobs going forward? You bet we are. We're going to be doing a lot more jobs that we never did before. And a lot of the folks that are unemployed could do one thing. So they're either going to have to be retrained to go back in the workforce and do multiple things, because those excesses we had in the 80s and 90s of employees is not going to happen again. The second thing is technology. Technology has been a big change in our economy. We have Mike Jackson on our board from AutoNation. He goes, when a lot of people come and buy a vehicle now, they know the vehicle they want, the color they want, what options they want, so they don't need as many sales folks as they used to. Royal Caribbean, before you used to call someone at a call center to book a cruise. Now you can go online, you know what cruise you want, where you're going, what ports of call. So a lot less individuals in those areas. That is happening in businesses that we talk to all around the country.
Well, obviously, technology, the internet, that's the name of the game there. And when we speak with Alex in a little bit, we're going to talk about what's happening in the publishing industry regarding connection to technology, which is, it's a game changer as well there. But yeah, I remember we had a luncheon over at the Fed, 3 years ago, and you precisely hit it. You talked about all these things are happening well. However, our biggest concern is employment. And look where we're at right now. It's still got a ways to go there. Loaded question, but answer it to the point that you're comfortable. And again, your opinion, how do you think things playing out in the next year, 2 years?
I think the economy is going to continue to grow. I think we see it growing. We have our everything we have looked at, all the models we see it growing, but again at a moderate pace. Right. We're looking about 2.5% GDP growth for next year, and going out to 2013, see it grow a little bit more at 3%. Now, that's taking into account no major changes in the world. Mm-hmm. If we have certain issues in the Middle East where oil prices go up, all that changes.
God forbid
if we have certain terrorist act or any natural disaster like happened in Japan where the car sales. So bearing any major issues, we see it growing, but at a very moderate pace, but at least moderate growth. We don't see inflation growing at any particular increase in the next year, 2 years. And like we just mentioned in our FOMC statement last week, we see interest rates being low through 2015. And I think that's positive to get a lot of people that had any thoughts of investing in the economy or hiring more employees, spending money on capital. I think by having that statement of interest rates low till 2015, hopefully spurs on the economy
the
moving forward.
Is there and gets people incentivized.
Consumer confidence is still not where we want it to be.
Right.
So we need to work because a lot of individuals still do not feel as positive.
And traditionally, every 4 years when there's a presidential election, the 2 months or so before, there's always this tendency to hold back. Let me wait what happens. And life goes on, but, a certain segment holds back a little bit, I'd say.
Well, that's been happening. Meeting with the CEOs of the top 50 GDP-producing companies in our zone, one of the major concerns, and we hear this probably from about 95%, and again, we're apolitical, but what their statement is, the uncertainty in Washington, it's what's keeping a lot of these companies from expanding, from hiring more people, from spending money on capital. Mm-hmm. So I think they've been holding back for a while on this, and again, it's not one political party or the other. It's just they don't feel that confidence in what's happening.
Right. Well, we got to move forward one day at a time and keep our hopes up and do what we have to do every day. And you are, like I said, on the verge now of moving on from this phase of your life, 12. And I know that you're trying to make all these commitments, and we talked about it yesterday there. But what is life going to be like for Juan after the Fed?
Well, I love the bank and I love my job, but after 40 years, it's time to do a little bit something else. I'll probably, like 16, 17 banks have already approached me to be on their board of directors. I haven't been able to talk to them because I can't do it while I'm employed at the Fed, but I'll probably take on one of those roles. Hopefully, I'll be a director of a corporate company. I own part of 2 companies that I want to expand, and Pete, as you know me, my love is travel, like Alex's love is also travel. And I have 3.5 months worth of trips already booked for next year. So
I'm sure you do. There, are you taking any cruises? Juan, you have one more thing that I want to talk about is you've been honored now on the 27th of October by the Doral Business Council for the first ever Legacy Awards, and I know last night was a big reception, and it brought all the honorees in together. What does that mean to you personally?
I appreciate whatever award is given to me. I don't feel comfortable receiving those, but I'd just rather blend into the system. But it's a great honor. I think the Federal Reserve, not me, when we moved out to Doral, we were the second individuals there. One of the things we negotiated before we moved out there was the opening of 41st Street on the Turnpike, an opening on 25th Street on the Palmetto, and the widening of 87th Avenue. Because even though the Federal Reserve is in Doral and Miami, we respond to the 13 southernmost counties, so we had to have great access to that area. As soon as we announced that we bought property there, 10 financial institutions, major financial institutions in this community, bought land there. So I think we had a lot of input and emphasis on growing Doral, so we feel very proud of that. When I moved out there was not one restaurant in the area. There was not one gas station. If we wanted to go and go out of our cafeteria to eat, we had to drive quite a ways. So
I remember the day.
So I've been very proud being in Doral for 32 years.
Well, Juan, this honor is I think is the right one because again, the Federal Reserve, but you've been leading them there, and you've made a mark in the community as a whole. And I'm blessed to know you and have this friendship, and I'm very, very lucky to have you here today and your final 2-minute warning here of your tenure with the Federal Reserve. But thank you so much for coming out here. Truly, truly appreciate it. And obviously we're going to continue to talk. And
Pete, it was my pleasure. Great to be with you.
Thank you so much, my friend, and good luck on your training today, okay? Hopefully it's not too hot.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will bring on Alex Vilak from the Miami Herald.
We'll be right back with the Pete De La Torre Business Program Power Hour, brought to you by Community Newspapers, Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies, and Esserman International.
Have you ever considered why so many Florida homeowners and business people look for an independent insurance agent for their insurance needs? We consumers appreciate real options with real choices that best fit our needs. We gravitate to those who understand our options and help make our decision a sound decision. So when we're making a decision that is really important to our family, our home, or business, people who value independence choose an independent agent from the Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies. The LAAIA is a 42-year-old nonprofit organization who strives for an insurance environment that is healthy for agents and fair for consumers by working on legislative, education, communication, and community support. They help the independent agent navigate the ever-changing waters of the insurance industry. For more information on the LAAIA, please call 305-477-1442. That's 305-477-1442. Or visit their website at www.laaia.com. In the heart of Miami, and the best location of the city, is Eurosuites Hotel and Residences, a favored hotel. Eurosuites Hotel and Residences is strategically located next to two major shopping centers, Dolphin Mall and Miami International Mall. Surrounded by numerous restaurants, this hotel is the obvious choice for your business trip or to spend a wonderful holiday with your family. Eurosuites has several amenities available during your stay, including European-style suites featuring a fully equipped kitchen to make you feel at home. Eurosuites has a fiber optic connection that gives you the best internet connection in town, super quick, reliable, and free. Eurosuites Hotel and Residences has spectacular facilities with an exercise room, a pool area with a Miami Beach style and unique bar called Zili. Need to rent a car? No problem. For your convenience, you can book a rental at a reduced pricing directly in their lobby. For more information, call 786-472-9095 or send them an email at info@eurosuites.com. That's EUROSSUITES.com and ask for Alex Ukia. Make sure to mention that Pete sent you and receive 20% off the regular rate.
Forever Smile Dentistry is dedicated to serve patients in our community. Their state-of-the-art technology allows them to offer you and your family the highest level of care you're looking for. They will give you a warm welcome and ongoing commitment to your dental health and beauty. Dr. Amaral and her experienced team are committed to excellence by providing you with the highest quality and ethical treatment modern dentistry has to offer. They work with their patients so they can achieve and maintain a beautiful smile and healthier gums and teeth. They take the time with their patients to explain their treatment options and inform them of additional preventative care. They feel this will lead to a more trusting doctor-patient relationship, and for many people, relieve the stress about seeing a dentist. Have you ever dreamed of that perfect smile? Well, here is where your dreams come true. Visit their website, www.foreversmiledentistry.com. To make an appointment, call 305-274-0425. Welcome back to the Pete Delatorre Business Program Power Hour. Sponsored by Community Newspapers, Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies, and Esserman International.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Pete Delatorre Business Program Power Hour. Thank you again to Wanda Booth. We had so much fun. He decided to stay back and just kick back and enjoy here. So if you want to chime in also, if you got something else you want to share with us, please do there. But the spotlight now will be on Alexandra Vilac, Senior VP Advertising and Marketing at Miami Herald Media Company. And we've been back and forth trying to get her on the show here for a while, and we finally did it, and so happy that you joined us here this morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much, Pete. Such a pleasure to be here with you and your listeners.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Before we move on, my traditional question to all my guests, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about me. Pete, I was born in Cuba, came to the United States with my parents when I was 2 years old. Because of my father's business, we moved to a variety of places. I was sort of like the equivalent of an army brat. We lived in Puerto Rico, in Guatemala, in Peru, in Fort Worth, Texas. I came back to Miami in my last years of high school to graduate here and live with family here. And I stayed in Miami. Miami to me is home. It's a magical place. I went to Miami-Dade College and UM, and then have proceeded my entire career to be here. I worked with Eastern Airlines, with Southeast Bank, back into the airline business with United Airlines, and then finally to the Miami Herald, where I've been for 12 years.
Tell us a little bit about your time with the Herald and how that's been. And I know that you have a big move coming up now to the city of Doral, and I want to know a little bit about what made that happen. So let's start talking about the Herald and all the exciting things that you've experienced there.
You know, I love being a part of the Miami Herald and El Nuevo Herald and what we do and the role that we play in our community. Yes, we are a business, but we have as our mission to really improve and work every day at improving the lives of everyone in our community. And we define our community very broadly because, you know, we have people here. We cover Haiti. We cover the state of Florida. We cover, you know, Venezuela. I mean, our community, because of our mix, is rather broad. And it's very exciting to be part of a business that has such a mission at its heart. And we're very excited about moving to the Doral. I can't tell you how excited we are. And we're just months away.
Yeah, I drove by there a couple days ago, and it's right on 33rd Street next to U.S. Southern Command. In fact, the building that you're in now is the old U.S. Southern Command building, and all of a sudden I looked to my left, and it's like, wow, that was fast.
Yep,
that's incredible.
The walls are up. The ink tanks have already been delivered last week. You know, we went through a process when we sold the land to Genting a couple of 18 months ago. We knew we needed a new home, and we started looking throughout the county, and we had a couple of requirements. We needed to be more centrally located in the county from a logistics distribution point for our trucking operation, but we also looked and mapped out where all our employees lived. And our employees live in this sort of this western north-south corridor. And more, given the land that we needed for the site, Doral became the place. And this property was uniquely suited between the office building plus the raw land to build our printing facility. It's just perfect. And the kind of welcome that we've gotten already from the city of Doral is really, we're all very eager to get there. We will start the first part of our printing operation. We'll start printing there probably in March.
Okay.
And employees will start moving into the building, the office building, starting in April, and we will be completely moved in there by the end of May of 2013.
That'll be terrific. And I know the city, which will be a brand new city council by that time, which is a whole different story there. I'm sure there's going to be exciting ceremonies and ribbon cutting and the whole nine yards.
We'll be doing a lot of stuff for our employees' families. We'll be working with the city and the community there to make sure that we educate our employees on all the facilities that are there, from restaurants to dry cleaners, you name it, gyms. But we're very excited because it's given us the ability to really design a media company of the future that is really in line with how we operate today and how we look to operate into the future.
Well, on that point, let's talk a little bit what's transpired, of course, with the newspaper business and especially where it's going as it relates to technology, which is the world that we're living in today. Tell us a little bit about how the Miami Herald is repositioning itself to make sure that you continue to be what you've done all these years.
It's a very interesting question because we know that in today's world, all media has become very highly fragmented. And we look as our role, we don't call ourselves a newspaper company. We are a media company.
Correct.
And we're a multimedia company. And our role is really to deliver information. It's not about a newspaper. We deliver information to our community how and when they want it. And for some people, it is their newspaper, and it's in 2 languages. It's not even just in English. It's con El Nuevo Herald in Spanish.
Right.
We do it on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your Google, your Android phones. We do it online. There are people who want it delivered at home. There are people who want to pick it up at a newsstand or at their Publix. What we need to do is deliver information how and when people want it. That is the evolution. The customer and the reader is telling us how they want to receive that information. It's our job to constantly be evaluating that, reacting, and being ahead of that. And it's a very interesting role. I was listening to Juan talk about how jobs change. 15 years ago, a reporter went out with a pencil and pad to interview somebody. Today, they go out with their iPhone or their iPad, and they're not only taking down your written word, they're filming a video for our online site so you can get video. They're putting it up on Twitter, and they're putting it out on Facebook. So you can get that information how and when you want it. And some days it may be you want to read it and you want it in print in front of you. Other times you want it on your iPad on the run, or you want it on your desktop.
Recently my reading the Miami Herald is online, and I'll read something at the beginning of the day, and halfway through the day, there's already some changes. And that's the beauty, because once you print the paper, that's the paper for the day. But having this online way of reading the latest news, you can be changing and adding things as they occur during any given day.
Yeah, our news cycle is now 24 hours a day. It's not one time for the printing deadline. But, at the end of the day, here's a fact. In print, we reach 1.1 million readers in our community every week.
Wow.
And when we combine those people who only read us online, that's another, 500,000 more. So 1.5 million people in our community, 52% of all adults, touch either our print or our online products. And I think that's a very impressive number in terms of the depth of reach that we have.
Now, you're obviously involved with marketing and advertising. How are all these changes affecting that component of the company? Is it enhancing it? Are you having different ways of providing opportunities for companies to market their services?
What I love and what keeps my job interesting is the fact that we're not a one-trick pony. We do so many things. So when we sit and talk to a customer that needs to reach an audience to promote their services, to sell their goods, we can sit there and say, let's find out who your target audience is today, because that's important today. You need to know who you're really talking to.
Be very specific.
You're very specific. You want to have a guaranteed return on investment. And we can sit there and say, you should be online. You should be online and targeting here. We can geo-target your impressions and your message. We can do it in print. We can do it in the 2 languages. We can do it on a mobile. We can put it on either iPhones or Android apps. You want to be on an iPad. But beyond that, we can deliver to your mailbox. We are the largest direct mail house. We deliver 800,000 pieces into almost every single household in Miami-Dade County and Southern Broward County every single week. So however we need to reach that customer, we can do it. We have so many products and partnerships. We represent Yahoo in our marketplace. It's just we bring a full media mix to our customers and really work on a consultative basis. Gone are the days of here's your order. No, that's not.
These are the rates.
No. We sit there and we work and say, what do you need? And let us craft something for you.
Absolutely, and I see that. I mean, I see that happening, and Miami Herald is still the Miami Herald, and I know there's other publications and some good ones out there, but that's what keeps you guys on your toes and make sure that you are very clear about who you are and what you can become, which is the real exciting part there, with all the opportunities that are out there. Let me take a small shift there, and let's talk about something that I know is dear and near to you, very, very close, because you've been extremely involved and a great leader with the second coming of One Community, One Goal. This was something that was initiated back by Jay Molina back in the late 1990s. It did whatever it did there, but now it's been resuscitated with a whole different outlook. And I know you have been one of the leaders there. How did you get involved with this? Where are things right now with One Community, One Goal? Because I know there was a major rollout back beginning of May. I was at the meeting, and it was very, very impressive, but also an eye-opener because, as Frank said, these are all great, but if we don't implement, nothing will happen here. So from your perspective, how are things coming along with One Community, One Goal?
Well, let's start. You're right. This is a process. One Community, One Goal was something that was started over 14 years ago by Jay Molina, who really said, as a community, we need to align ourselves to look at where the jobs are going to be for the future. And One Community, One Goal is a very simple thing. I mean, it's a big words. It really is about aligning ourselves. It's a targeted industry study that, in this case today, brings in education as a foundation to make sure that as a community across our educational institutions, our public and private sector, we are looking forward to what jobs are going to be and making sure that we're prepared to compete globally for those jobs, to assure ourselves of having good, stable employment and wealth creation for our entire community, for everyone across our community. I've been involved in economic development now for about 25 years in one form or another. And at the end of the day, I would say that it is very important for our community to understand that we're all involved in economic development. For our businesses to thrive, we have to care that we are growing jobs across the entire platform. One company cannot succeed at the expense of everything else.
Correct.
Not long term, maybe for one day, but not long term. And I've seen the impact throughout my career of being able to take someone and help them have the skills needed to succeed in a job. You not only transform their life, you transform the life of their children and their family on an ongoing, you're paying it forward. And it's that simple, because when you see it on a level of one person at a time, and I did that many years ago when I worked at United Airlines, we did a program, Welfare to Work.
Okay.
And we took and created 750 jobs at the airport for people that had been on welfare and helped them integrate and get jobs. And I remember this one woman who had been a long-term welfare recipient, had 2 kids. She came to me, and we helped her, and she worked with us. 6 months later, she got promoted. Within a year, she was in a supervisory position. She came to me and she says, "My children are proud of me. I have bought a car. I have moved into a better apartment. My children are so proud of me. They used to be embarrassed. They didn't want me to go drop them off at school." And that has stayed with me forever. So when some people ask me, why do you do this? Why do you put so much of your personal time? Is when you make that connection and you say, wow, we have the ability to impact that. So that brings us to One Community, One Goal. It's been 14 years. You would not live 14 years in your business without having a strategic plan that takes a look at what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the threats and opportunities that are out there.
Absolutely.
And that is what One Community, One Goal did. So we set out 2 years ago to, first of all, raise private funding to conduct this study, to bring in nationally acclaimed consultants to help us through this process and guide this community. And I got to tell you that for the first time in many, many years, we have over 65 organizations across our community aligned, working together, dedicated and focused on one mission, to create jobs for our community. It's amazing. It's just amazing. In a time of limited resources, that we have aligned ourselves to make sure that we are all working together.
And I think, and we've talked about this, I guess the foundation of all of this is education.
Education. We came in from the beginning and we said we have to have all our educational partners at the table. And we have everything from Alberto Carvalho from the public school system, the heads and presidents of every educational institution of higher learning here, all the presidents of the universities, Miami-Dade College at the table, because they need to understand what the jobs are going to be, what our opportunities are, and make sure that the curriculum that they're deploying to their students is aligned with that. And they have embraced this, and to me it's fascinating the speed at which they are changing. You know, FIU, their board has adopted, their strategic plan has already integrated the results of the report of One Community, One Goal.
Absolutely. I believe also the Greater Miami Chamber of
Greater
Commerce.
Miami Chamber of
all
Commerce.
The committees, yes.
All their committees have been realigned. They have created a position as Vice President of Strategy that is in charge of overseeing and integrating the results of One Community, One Goal. So it's really been an incredible teamwork. We had over 5,000 people across our community participate during the study. We had 4,000 respondents to the survey, which we did in 3 languages. And we had over 1,000 people that participated one-on-one in focus groups giving input. So this has really been a grassroots organization. You know, many communities do these studies, and then it sits in a binder on somebody's shelf gathering dust.
That's right.
It's an economist's dream. I didn't want to spend 2 years of our life and working on this to have that. And we've had a privileged co-chairmanship. These 2 years I've had as a co-chair Adolfo Enriquez, who's the chairman of Gibraltar Private Bank, and our mayor, Carlos Jimenez. And Mayor Jimenez, the day after he was elected, called us and said, how do I get involved? Because jobs and the economy are my number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 tenet. How do we participate? And this is a partnership, because there are things that came out of this study that we need the public sector to work on, and there are things that the private sector needs to work on.
Well, there has to be that collaboration, private-public, because if not, it's just not going to happen. And it's just like you said, and again, going back to what Frank Nero said, you know, all great ideas look great in a binder, on the board, wherever that is, but the key to everything, more than ever, is the execution and the implementation. Bottom line.
And that's where we're at today. The rubber hits the road. Yes. We got handed this report. It has over 80 recommendations. And we have spent the summer, we have a steering committee made up of about 55 members from across our community. And we have put together a whole implementation grid that takes each one of these recommendations and says, okay, let's create, what's the plan to implement it? Who's going to own it? How are we going to report back on it? And we are rolling this out. And we're in that process. Some things will be fast and are already in process. Others will take time. This is a 5-year program.
Absolutely. And I think the goal is 75,000 jobs, in addition to whatever normal growth.
Whatever's normal growth. 75,000 jobs that we can track back. Dr. Tony Villamil, who heads up our Economic Roundtable, is setting the metrics to measure and make sure that we can report back to the community on a regular basis of how are we doing in these targeted industries, and also within the broader priorities, because we created community-wide priorities as well as specific category recommendations.
Well, this is phenomenal, and one of my objectives with this show, especially the second hour, is to continuously have dialogue regarding One Community, One Goal. And Alex, the door is open for you to come back anytime that you're available, so that we can continue this, because it's merits talking more about it, talking about the specific industry. So I want to continue this dialogue moving forward. We've run out of time today, but this has been terrific, and I cannot thank you enough for coming out here today. We're going to make this happen again, and if the listeners have any questions or they want to find out more, what is the best way for them to get that information?
Absolutely. There's a couple of different ways. If you're a part of an organization or a business group, reach us and we can schedule a meeting to come and work with your organization. If you as an individual or a company want to get involved, call us. You can contact the Beacon Council, Will Corbin, at 305-579-1390. That's probably the easiest way. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm at Villoch, Villoch, at miamiherald.com, or 305-376-3212. And I'll be happy to talk about this and get people involved. It belongs to all of us.
It's a great opportunity for all of us. Let's seize the moment and let's make all this happen. Alex, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Pete.
It's been a lot of fun. We're going to go to a break, and then we'll bring back our LAAIA segment with Dolores Glass.
We'll be right back with the Pete De La Torre Business Program Power Hour. Brought to you by Community Newspapers, Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies, and Esserman International.
Have you ever considered why so many Florida homeowners and business people look for an independent insurance agent for their insurance needs? We consumers appreciate real options with real choices that best fit our needs. We gravitate to those who understand our options and help make our decision a sound decision. So when we're making a decision that is really important to our family, our home, or business, people who value independence choose an independent agent from the Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies. The LAAIA is a 42-year-old nonprofit organization who strives for an insurance environment that is healthy for agents and fair for consumers by working on legislative, education, communication, and community support. They help the independent agent navigate the ever-changing waters of the insurance industry. For more information on the LAAIA, please call 305-477-1442. That's 305-477-1442. Or visit their website at www.laaia.com.
Welcome back to the Pete De La Torre Business Program Power Hour. Sponsored by Community Newspapers, Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies, and Esserman International.
Welcome back, my friends, to the last part of the Pete De La Torre Business Program's Power Hour. One of our new partners, the LAAIA, Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies, is going to have a segment every week on the show, and we have the pleasure of having on, long distance from St. Petersburg, Florida, Dolores Glass, who's a communications manager for Fidelity Right Flood, and she is with us on the phone right now. How are you, Dolores?
Fine, and how are you, Pete?
I'm doing terrific. Thank you so much for being on the show here today. How are things up in St. Petersburg?
You're welcome. Things are great here in St. Pete. Sun is shining.
Sun is shining, and we actually have some sun right now, so I can't complain too much here. There are a lot of things that we want to hit on here today, and we're going to get through most of them, but this is, of course, regarding flood insurance, flood policies, which is important to not just on a personal basis for the multiple and the thousands of businesses that are out there. Let me start with the company itself. How will the company change its name, and how is that going to affect the actual policyholders?
Well, Pete, if you have a flood policy with Fidelity Flood, which is now renamed Right Flood, there should be no change other than the name at the top of the declaration page or the future premium notice if that come out. It may eventually show Right National Flood Insurance, but your coverage, your policy number, your insurance agency, and all of us who serve your flood policy, we're all still here and everything is still the same. We just have a new name, Right Flood. We're going to offer the same service, expertise, claims, excellence you expect, and we're going to be here for you at time of claim.
There's always a normal anxiety that all of us have, and we with one company, and there's a change, and what does that mean, and all that. But I think that this is a reassurance to all of your policyholders that nothing's going to change. In fact, they're probably going to take it to a whole different level.
Well, actually, flood policies at Fidelity Right Flood and at other flood insurance providers are all guaranteed by the federal government because it's a federal program through the National Flood Insurance Program. So the flood policies are always backed by the federal government, and so there's never any concern about confidence in the claims being paid with the flood policy.
Now, recently we've seen that Congress has passed new legislation relating to flood insurance. What are we going to see that is different?
Well, right now the good news is that the NFIP has been reauthorized for a 5-year period now. So we're not going to have any lapses in the program. There won't be need for extensions to be in place like we've seen for the past 3 years or so. But consumers that are in the midst of buying property, they will be able to get flood insurance because there won't be any concern that the NFIP won't be in effect for the next 5 years or so. Congress did authorize some reforms to the program along with the latest reform that was approved by Congress, and that they're going to have a premium rate increase that would affect properties that are actually non-primary residences. So they're going to be trying to reduce the subsidies for properties that are not currently rated as risk-based premiums. So meaning that those at high risk and those at low risk should pay the premiums based on the risk that actuarially exists.
Okay,
So
excellent.
the residential properties are going to see, the non-residential, non-primary properties are going to see an increase of about 25% each year until they reach the actuarially based rate.
Okay. Now, we agree that insurance is an important part of every property owner's financial protection, and most of already have homeowners insurance, business property insurance, liability, and so on. So why is it a good idea to buy flood insurance on top of all of that?
Well, mostly because the biggest point that homeowners and property owners need to realize is that their homeowners coverage or their business property coverage usually excludes flood damage,
Okay.
meaning damage from water that rises from the ground up is an exclusion on the homeowner policy, and it's an exclusion on most business property coverages as well. So if you need to have coverage for flood, for rising water, you do need to purchase a separate policy, and it could be contents separately from building coverage. So you do want to consider a separate policy for flood loss.
That's common sense, I would think, right?
Yeah. Well, people do feel that this coverage should be in their homeowners, but we want to make sure that everyone is informed that it's not part of homeowners. It's not part of business coverage for rising water.
Now, have you experienced many homeowners still expecting that to be included?
Well, we're in Florida. We're a little more informed about flood loss because Florida has the most floods than any other state in the country. But we do find a lot of people disappointed or surprised at the time of claim because they're, really seeing all the damage. They're just so hopeful that it's going to be covered somewhere that they want to look to their homeowner's insurance, and it's not covered there. It should be a separate policy.
Now, we just saw a recent disaster, Hurricane Isaac hitting the Gulf Coast, and all the aftermath of that, what happens, and of course, obviously flooding is all over the place, and there was a lot of it there. Now, in a case like that, a disaster, doesn't the disaster assistance from the federal government reimburse owners?
Well, only flood insurance actually reimburses for covered property that's damaged by a flood. There is occasionally federal or state disaster assistance comes into play. It must be declared a disaster by the president. And when they do offer federal or disaster assistance, it's mostly in the form of a loan that needs to be repaid with interest.
Very important.
They're not really getting a grant. And again, there must be a presidential disaster order for that to be the case. So you want to be aware that really flood insurance is the only thing that's guaranteed to pay you back for flood damage.
That's a very important point and an excellent one. Now, the reality is today's economy very tight, very difficult for most property owners, and they're stretching the dollars as far as they can go. And when they look around, there's certain things they just can't afford anymore. And insurance is something that they're looking at. I've got insurance, property insurance, but I really can't afford flood insurance. I mean, what happens in that case?
Well, Pete, I look at it the other way. I feel that property owners really, during a tight economy, they can't afford not to have flood insurance for something like this because many folks or small business owners don't have the resources in the bank or in their budget to replace their homes or businesses or their contents if a flood were to wipe them out. or even just to damage their walls, their rugs, their furniture. So they can't afford not to buy this protection that's available to them that would take care of it if something unexpected happens. And they want to be aware that 25% of flood claims are paid and do occur to properties that are considered in the low to moderate risk zone areas.
Mm-hmm. I've heard this from people from time to time, Dolores. Why are some folks told that they must purchase it, flood insurance, and others have a choice?
Well, if you're purchasing a property that's in the high-risk zone, the lender is going to require that you purchase flood insurance to cover the bank's interest. There are some lender laws that require a lender to do a flood zone determination, identify as part of the loan settlement if the property is in a high-risk zone, and make sure that that property in a high-risk zone is covered by flood insurance before the loan is closed. And that's to protect the bank's assets, which I think is a pretty good thought and a pretty good indication that it's important to cover the property owner's assets too.
No, I couldn't agree with you more.
Properties in the low to moderate risk zone, that's the group that has a choice whether they choose to purchase flood insurance voluntarily or if they want to forego that and be self-insured for that. But it's really prudent for them to consider purchasing because, as we've said, 25% of the properties that are in that low to moderate risk zone, those folks who have a choice whether they want to purchase or not, they do suffer floods up to 25% of the time in those low to moderate risk zones.
Now, there's obviously several questions I want to ask of you, and I knew that our time was going to be limited because this is a topic that has so many different variations and important components. But and the little time that we have left here, most of our listeners are business owners and business people. What one message would you like to share with them right now?
Well, I'd like to say that the National Flood Insurance Program offers flood insurance to all properties, no matter what type of property, a residence or a business or a condo unit owner. All those different uses of properties can be covered by a flood insurance policy. And if you're in the low-risk zone and subject to that 25% of flooding, even though you're in the low to moderate risk zones, they do have discounted policies that can cost as little as $50 a month or so for you to keep your property covered up to the value of your property so that you won't be out of your home and looking for another place to live or to keep your family during time of flood if there's ever a flood claim in your area.
Well, Dolores,
to consider.
Sure. We have run out of time, and what we need to do is get you back on the show because there's so much to talk about with flood insurance, and we'll make those arrangements to make it happen. But I want to thank you so much for taking part in your busy day to be with us this morning.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pete. I appreciate you inviting us over.
Thank you so much. Have a great one. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Well, we are now ready to wrap up our show for a September 19th. Thank you to my guests in the second hour, Juan Del Busto, Alex Vilac, and, of course, Dolores Glass. We're on every week, my friends, here on 880 AM The Biz, the Pete De La Torre Business Program. You could always listen online around the world. My friends, make it a great and profitable week. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Pete De La Torre Business Program Power Hour. Tune in again next Wednesday at 10 a.m. for more of the Pete De La Torre Business Program. The Pete De La Torre Business Program Power Hour has been brought to you by Community Newspapers, Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies, and Esserman International.